Greetings to the students in the Luke Acts class here at Southeastern University. Welcome. This is your instructor, Dr. Larry Asplund, coming to you at the very beginning of our 8-week intensive. I'm so much looking forward to sharing this time with you, and I wanted to be able to stop by, as I will at the beginning of every week, and provide you with an informational, video presentation, a recording of what it is we can expect in the coming week. Kind of keep things framed in for you, keep you on track so that this ends up being a very, very good learning experience for you. So welcome to Module 1. Here we are, a Wednesday morning, really at midnight, Tuesday, 11:59 p.m., is the end of our academic week. And so here we are beginning Module 1, and I wanted to be able to frame in the whole course first of all, and then be able to give you a sense of what it is we will be doing in this very first week of our class. First of all, just by way of review, let's look at the course description. This course examines the narratives of Luke, that is the gospel in the book of Acts, as he engages the person and work of Christ and the nature and work of the church. The role of God's kingdom is expressed through gospel, and in the life of the church will be emphasized. Literary dynamics such as narrative and parallelism will be engaged, and the mission and message of the early Christian community expressed in its eschatological commitments to the workings of the Holy Spirit will be addressed, and obviously that has immediate significance for us today in the church and in our personal lives. A couple of very important and great textbooks were assigned to you. First of all, Joel Green has written a little book called The New Testament Theology, the Theology of the Gospel of Luke. Green wrote a large commentary on the Gospel of Luke. That's not the book you should be getting. He wrote a kind of an accompanying smaller text on the theology of the Gospel of Luke. So that's the one you will want to be getting and start reading, of course, here in the very first week. And then Beverly Gaventa has written an excellent book on the book of Acts, a commentary that, in the first part of it introduces Acts along with the gospel and then gives us some tremendous insights into the book of Acts, and I know you will enjoy that very much. So that is the second volume that we will be studying together. These are available, by the way, for those of you that might be relevant to, for your Kindle device through Amazon if you wish. Dr. David Johnson is the course developer for this course. I always love to give credit for whoever was the original designer and author of the content. Dr. Johnson will appear in a video for us in the very first module, so I'm giving him credit for all the good work he did on this class. It is my opportunity and privilege just to be able to guide you through it. Online learning has kind of a different philosophy of teaching. We like to say that an online instructor is not the sage from the stage, but is a guide from the side, kind of a co-learner. And so we engage in a very dynamic learning community together. And I look forward to sharing that with you in these 8 weeks. I thought it would be good to just do a quick review and overview of course assessments for the week so you have a sense of what is coming before I jump into the very first module. We will have several discussion forums. The assignment will be to post your reply to the forum question, the forum prompt, by the end of the day on Saturday, and then to reply to at least 2 other students by the end of the day the following Tuesday. You will have a discussion in modules 1 through 7. And then there are thematic threads, which are also kind of discussions, but they have to do with very specific themes in Luke and Acts. They will occur in modules 2 through 8. Then there's an exegetical paper that you will unpack in a variety of ways, actually. And the first way will involve simply you doing a paper proposal along with an annotated bibliography. Now, all elements of this assignment will involve you choosing 5 to 15 verses anywhere in the Gospel of Luke or the book of Acts. And in that passage, you will decide to take a deep dive into it and do more work than you would be doing otherwise. And so to begin with, you are simply going to, in Module 3, make a proposal for what you want to do and provide an annotated bibliography of at least 5 sources. More will be due at the end, but it'll get you started. It'll begin to move you in the direction, ultimately, of your paper. You will also have reading journals and logs, which will simply be a written interaction, a written engagement with the weeks from the readings from that week. That will be worth 10% of your final grade. Then you will have your personal interpretation presentation. So you are going to provide more background on the passage that you're studying, and you will present 2 to 3 different possible interpretations of that passage. And do a presentation, either in the form of a PowerPoint presentation or a video or whatever you choose to do, something creative. That will be due in Module 4, another 10% of your final grade. Then there is a thematic presentation, a creative presentation of a chosen theme. It's another opportunity for you to just unpack a specific theme in Luke and in Acts. That will come up in Module 5. It will be worth another 10% of your final grade. You will then have a critical review of an article, so possible articles that you can choose from along with a specific rubric will be provided, not until Module 7, but I think it's good to think kind of in advance about these things. That will be due in Module 7, worth another 10% of your final grade. And then the 2 big final assignments, your exegetical paper itself will be due at the end of the class. When you write your paper, it will be 10 to 15 pages, formatted according to Turavian guidelines. Include and cite at least 10 sources, etc. It's a research paper, an exegetical paper, and you will have been working on it throughout the course. And there will also be a final exam, which will be an essay exam covering material from the entire course. Both of these final assignments will be worth 20% of your final grade. So we'll kind of get up to it step by step as we explore together the Gospel of Luke and the book of Acts. So Module 1, the theme, of course, is simply an introduction to Luke, Acts, and of course that should be Luke, not like, an introduction to Luke, Acts. And we have very specific learning objectives for Module 1. First of all, my goal is for you to be able to demonstrate knowledge of the historical context of Luke and Acts. Number 2, to demonstrate knowledge of the authorship of Luke and Acts. Number 3, to identify some of the major themes in Luke and Acts. Number 4, to identify and discuss the structure of both Luke and Acts, and then to discuss notes or annotations of recurring themes that include the role of the Spirit, Spirit experiences, communal discernment, and the role of those who are on the margins. In the first century, Luke is known for giving special attention to the poor, to women, etc., which were, issues in the first century. That last one's going to come up in your discussion for the week. So here are your resources for Module 1. First of all, read the entire Gospel of Luke in one sitting if you can. By the way, if you have a Bible app on your phone or on your iPad, some device, feel free to access the Gospel of Luke and listen. I quite often do that myself. And so that's going to give you the big picture of the Gospel of Luke starting out. And then the great little theology textbook from Green, you will read just the first introduction, pages 1 to 21. And you will read a chapter in Gaventa that really involves an introduction to both the Gospel of Luke as well as to the book of Acts. And Dr. Johnson has provided us with a video as well as the transcript of his video where he addresses the portrait of Jesus in the Gospel of Luke. So I know you're going to enjoy that as well. So here is your very first discussion forum, Module 1 discussion forum. And here's the discussion prompt. Among the many ways to describe Luke Acts, it is a story that spans from the birth of Jesus to Paul in Rome. So for this week, read the Gospel of Luke in one sitting, as close as you can get to one sitting, maybe 2, depending on your time. the way that the gospel would have been told in the very beginning. And as you read through the gospel, make notes or annotations of recurring themes that once again include the role of the Spirit, Spirit experiences, communal discernment, and the role of those who were on the margins in the first century, which would have included those who were sick, the poor, children, and women. And make a note of any passage that you do not understand or that makes you uncomfortable, any text with which you do not agree. And then share some of the notes. So your post in the discussion forum will be to share some of your notes as you have read, and then discuss them together, respond to at least two other students. I know you're going to thoroughly enjoy the opportunity to interact with one another and to share your own perspective, which of course is the value in a discussion forum in online learning, to be able to share your own perspective. In my experience, actually an online course is more interactive than an in-person course. If you've got a shy person, in class, they're going to hesitate to raise their hand and jump into a discussion. Well, here, everybody can and do it comfortably and thoughtfully, and I know you will enjoy it immensely. So that's how we're going to get started with our discussion forum. Then you will have your first written reflection, your reading log and journal, which is simply a 300-plus word. Think about, a page of a summary or an interaction, a reflection on this week's reading in the chapter in the theology book from Green. And be sure to include references in your writing, page references where you are making reference to something in Green. And this little written but important summary report will be due at the end of the day next Tuesday. I love the whole opportunity to be able to combine the Gospel of Luke and the book of Acts together. Certainly, the Luke, who was a beloved physician, as you know, a scholar trained and educated in the Greco-Roman system, gives us some tremendous insights. He's obviously did his work as well as being inspired from the Holy Spirit to write authoritative accounts for the early church and for us today. And so it is our opportunity to jump in this week, begin to look at an introduction to the big picture, and then to start to share personal insights as we do. If you have not yet jumped into the Meet the Class forum at the beginning, be sure to do so. Introduce yourself. Online learning is very, very interactive. And, we work together. We learn together as a learning community. So it's important for us to begin to get to know each other, to get acquainted. And when you introduce yourself, also greet other students that have done so, and start to kind of get a sense of who your fellow learners are in this class. It's going to be a wonderful class. I'm so much looking forward to it, to sharing this time with you. Be sure to let me know if you have any questions, if there's any way I can serve you. You are certainly going to be in my prayers this coming week. So God bless you, everybody. Just have a wonderful Module 1.